I'm happy that Johnny Hughes is back. It gives us a great feeling to know that the work he's doing for Mother Ghana. Meshach Anan is saying that cash outs. Meshach, please, you have to stake more if you know how we do the staking. Maulong Babe, good morning. Kweku Aaron, Solly Evans. Hey, Solly, dear, Solly Evans is on every stream in Ghana. How many devices do you have, Solly Evans? Evans Ibn Samba, good morning to you. Lucky Pop, Prudential Livingston, good morning. Sherry Giovanni, Sherry, good morning to you. Prince Henry Kofodria, Joe Pasasa, Awilo Media, you've joined us as well. Joining us live from the UK, Money Ni Money, Lion Ni Lion, Imelda Nassar, Amama Gold, Amoda Hamidu, we're grateful. Kojo Gator, Bosco, Leonard, Evans Blay, Yao Kweku Techi, Mr. Techi, good morning to you. Hamza, Junior the Maestro, Maestro Planner Junior of Kintampo, good morning to you. And then also Maxwell Akpabli. Hey, Maxwell, you're here. Bridget Bonnie's friend, good morning to you. And then also I have Ni Atukwe, good morning to you, Onukpa. I hope you're a Ghan. Many of you have pseudo names on Facebook, so I know sometimes the names are not your real names. That's what you use in insulting us, right? But don't worry, we'll take it like that. Hamza Junior Di Maestro, thank you. And then also Sarah Mabiver, Johnny Kujo, Matthew Edem Nwagbe, Estro Diamond Dido, Evans Blay. Evans, good morning to you, we're grateful. Desiree, and then also a couple of you as well. I haven't get here. Patrick, you join us. Inshiraba Keofori. And then Akasakre Joseph, you've joined us. Sarah Mabive, I've mentioned. Kojo Mensa. Now, please make sure that you share what we have this morning. I have some great friends of mine. We want to take a look at the concerns being raised by some of the key presidential aspirants of the ruling New Patriotic Party. Agents brutalized, indiscipline, according to the disciplinary committee, as many of them have been hauled, even though they say they are justified. And we also what transpired over the weekend. But we want to ask the question, does this have any implication for the general election for 2024? We're asking this because this is the ruling party. And these are the isolated incidents. And these, again, have to be emphasized. Isolated incidents which have been recorded. Should we be worried? On the second part, the Electoral Commission is continuing what they call the limited voter registration as our continuous registration. Now, we know that onwardly for 2024, before you get your name onto the register, the Electoral Commission says you only need to have the Ghana card. I know it is possible, but are all the stakeholders happy? So we're happy. Please share. Give us your messages as well and let us know what you think. And then Owusu Ernest, you say your boy is celebrating his second birthday today. Can you please wish him and Solomon White Owusu happy birthday to you? Now let's take a recall. Alan Tremantin is worried. The great Alan Tremantin is worried. His agents brutalized. And then we also have Kojo Nsafwa Poku raising concerns. Let's take a string of these inserts. Then I'll pose a question to my guest this morning. I have Awal Mohammed, the great Awal, communicates for the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. He is of the Aswanse constituency. That's your constituency, right? Yes. Great guy. And then also the Deputy Communication Officer of the NDC, Malik Basentali. Malik, peace. Okay. Let's take the insert. We'll be back.
To my colleague on Saturday was an act of total indiscipline and indecent behavior. How do we, as a decent party, going into an election, particularly at the level of superdelegates, superintend such behavior? I mean, look, we all joined the NPP because of our commitment to the values of the party. But what is happening clearly shows that this is not what we bargained for by joining the party. I'm not going to tolerate this kind of behavior. It doesn't make sense.
His agent, Zakaria Ali, narrated his ordeal.
The third person was the regional youth organizer. He voted and displayed his vote. So I confronted him and told him, my brother, that is not the way, the rule of the game. We are told that no one should use a phone to snap when you vote. Secondly, we have been told that no one should vote and display his vote. Oh, when I said it, he picked a plus chair and hit me, so I blocked him this way. So it hit my hand. The national coordinator also rushed and hit me. So I saw that I was bleeding from my elbow. So when that happened, it was my MP, the MP for Chirapone, Honorable Razak Tairo. He came to rescue me.
Kujon Safopoku, who garnered 3 votes, accounting for 0.33% of total votes cast, expressed content with the process. However, he also called for the resignation of Nuruddin Fusaini, the Northeast Regional Chairman of the NPP, citing his alleged supervision of a clash in his region during the contest.
Assessment of the election on Saturday was 99% successful. The only blemish on the election is the Northeast election, where there was violence, and we don't think that the Northeast election was free and fair. Some of us really feel strongly that the Northeast issue should be highlighted. I have called on the president to make the Northeast minister resign, because he witnessed the violence that went on there and did nothing about it. And the regional minister and the regional chairman should be called to account in that instance.
His optimism about securing a top 5 spot was not realized, but...
Now, that said, Awal, why is it that there seemed to be this posture by certain individuals in the party towards some of these great people of the NPP? And now they are complaining. Kennedy Japan says he's going to have a showdown. You are with the Baumia camp, right?
Yes.
With Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, with the president himself. They are being treated unfairly.
Okay. Thank you so much. Good morning to our cherished viewers, and thank you so much for this opportunity. I have been out of Accra for like 2 weeks. We went to Kumasi, that's Youth Employment Agency, with our boss, Kofi Japan, and the board to launch the textile and garments model, where we said we will support 500 tailors and seamstresses with 18,500 to train 3 to 5 people for us as tailors and seamstresses and so on. And when we launched, we mentioned that by next month we'll be able to really do the disbursement for them to start. Today, the monies will go, inshallah, because we sent to PPA for them to give the advice, and the advice has come. And today, a lot of them will receive their monies. Across the country, we're training 2,000 people in dressmaking and tailoring, and we're supporting 500 tailors to do this job for us. So kudos to the team, especially CEO Kofi Japan and the others. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think what happened in Nalirgo Senior High School, we all must condemn it. I remember I was in Kumasi that day when I saw the pictures. I took to my Facebook page to even write that what happened is despicable. We should, the police should even arrest whoever perpetrated that act, because it's even borders on criminality. You cannot assault someone even if you disagree with the person and so on. So I think I largely agree with Mr. Alan Tramantin when he said that this is not really the MPP we know, and he did not join this MPP to really see what has happened to his colleague, especially someone who is even his polling agent. And I think when you sought to paint the picture that there were a lot of violence or some pockets of violence, I think this is the only place that I can recall that someone was assaulted. The rest of the places, there were some disagreements with people showing their where they voted to, and there were some altercations between them.
Others on
so
TV.
On. Yes, these ones I can see people are.
I said they are isolated.
Each other and so on. And you're doing an election in 17 different places. And you're dealing with human beings, and you know that definitely you cannot control the behavior of people, especially when people, some are emotional about who they want to really support, and they think that the best person is their own candidate, and they've been selected to really go and represent that person. So it is unfortunate, and I know that the party is taking a decision on that. There is a discipline committee, and there's also the elections committee has come out to condemn it and say that indeed Zakaria will, at least there will be justice, and everything will really be okay, looking at what has happened. If really just 17 polling stations and someone is to really suffer like this, it doesn't really augur well. I think we will have to really make sure that the discipline committee also discipline whoever it is. So a day after, there was a statement from the General Secretary to condemn it and invite those who were alleged to have really engaged in that, even those who showed their ballot. For instance, Raf in Kumasi, who is alleged to have shown his where he voted for, who he voted for, and so on. So I believe that as for this, it's really something that we all have to condemn. I have heard a lot of commentaries about it, to the extent that even the former president has also added his voice and was seeking to portray NPP.
Why he shouldn't?
NPP as a violent
He's a candidate for the leading opposition party. He should be worried.
He who seeks equity must come with clean hands.
What has John Mahama got to do with this?
Because
he issued a statement because a stakeholder.
when they had their elections, 10 people were arrested, 3 at Ningo Pram because they fought at the polling station.
And people got injured the way we're saying.
Yes.
Harriet, put the pictures of the injured, swollen-eyed agents and
yes, but I have
spoken
to it, and I'm saying that it happened to the extent that some places in the past, especially within the NDC, that's why Alan Tremantin said that this is not the NPP, because we know it's the NDC that have that characteristics when it comes to elections. Yes, I'm serious.
8 people died from the last election. NPP.
How many people died? How do you authenticate 8 people died in an elections? How do you authenticate that?
They are dead. You authenticate by the number of bodies you see.
That is a lie. It's not 8 people. That's a palpable lie.
So how many numbers do you have?
6 people or 5.
Okay, so you contend that there were still deaths?
Yes, but they did not die at a polling station. They did not. None of them died at a polling station.
Do you see the videos from Techiman where there were shootings?
Was there? Is that a polling station? Was that place a polling station?
What was it? A voting center?
No, it was not a voting center.
Where was it?
It was a collation center.
And
those who died were not officials who were designated to go there.
So when the death at
and again, it was not perpetrated by the NPP. All these deaths that you mentioned are perpetrated.
Who deployed to the military?
So in an elections, is the president who deploys military?
Who is the commander of the Ghana Armed Forces, and also
he ceases to be that on elections day because he's a candidate. On that day, they don't.
So who is governing the country when he is in an election?
On that day, the president don't control.
His term is not over.
Yes, but he.
I will speak to the issue.
But I'm speaking to the issues. I'm telling you
you are
that
equalizing.
I'm not equalizing. I'm saying that all those who died, they are not even the 8 that you seek to portray. You've been fed with the NDC propaganda that 8 people
what do you
died.
mean by that? What?
No,
we covered the election.
Tell us where they died. 2 people in Tachimai. A stray bullet killed a younger person, about 16-year-old, in Safulugu. 1 person in Ablekuma Central. And
but you contend that there were still deaths. You say that they are from 8 to 6.
The deaths were not perpetrated.
It's a 6. It's a 6.
Yes, 5. I can even...
Okay, on top of his mind.
Yes. So I'm saying that none of them died as a result of a rioting between NPP and an NDC. Again, it was not perpetrated by the NPP. We all know that even the one in Ablekuma Central is in court. Yes, that case is in court. And the family are pursuing it. So, when you have someone who says NDC has revolutionary roots, and when it comes to unleashing violence,
NDC, no party can beat NDC in unleashing violence in telling us that this incident is something that he is condemning and so on. Someone who, after mentioning this, went to Akina Radio in Tachimai, where he is supposed to even commiserate with the people there, went there and said in 2024 it will be do or die, do not have the moral right to condemn what has happened. That's what I mean. So if someone like this, who has mentioned all these things, who is a leader of a political party, does not have the moral right to condemn this incident, because even the just ended NDC primaries, one person got injured in Upper West. Yes, in Upper West, one person got injured. In Ningo Prampram, 3 people fought at the police station and they were arrested. 8 people were arrested in that elections. This is just this year. Early this year, 10 people were arrested. So, yes, as much as we condemn the incident that happened in Nalegu Senior High School, but you don't take it as, you don't use it as a yardstick to condemn a political party that do not have any revolutionary root, that is not really a violent political party. When you talk about a violent political party, you, the leader of the party, has said that the NDC is a violent political party because you have revolutionary roots, and when it comes to unleashing violence, there is no party. 2 years ago, in Kumasi, Asiedun Ketia was there, in NDC regional headquarters. One of the constituents in Asawasi was shot dead by his own people, by the NDC people there in Kumasi. So when you have the former president talking about NPP and seek to portray NPP as a violent party, that's why I said he does not have the moral right to say that. So yes, the disciplinary committee has started the meetings, and they have invited almost all persons involved in these altercations and so on. And I'm sure that really justice will prevail, and those who are found guilty will really be punished, which I am very sure that they will be punished.
Then the concerns that they raise, the individuals,
yes,
Alan Chairman, the leading spokespeople, even including Kojo, Cabinet Japan, as well as the others who even are out of the race of the 5, raising concerns about how free and fair or not the elections were, and how that should make sure that there's a certain positive reflection on November 4.
Yes, I think
what's the posture?
The committee, the elections committee, headed by Right Reverend Professor Michael Quay, invited them. Yesterday, they even invited Alan Tremantin to listen to his concerns. The thing is that this year, the elections were handled by the eminent personalities, elections committee. National executives didn't play any role in the election. They only supported them to really execute. So I know that the elections committee invited Mr. Alan Tremantin yesterday, and they are inviting almost everyone who has a concern, so that at least they sit down to iron out the concerns before the November 4th elections. This I know they will be able to do it, because they promised a freer and fair elections, and it was really free and fair, largely because if you have only about 2 places that had some few issues, it means largely it's really free and fair. So nobody has ever said that it was not fair, because I have listened to all the commentaries. None of the aspirants has said that he did not really go into a fair elections. Kwabena Japan raised issues, but he says the grassroots people have shown who they wanted to lead the party, and he believes that as we move on, whoever get in touch with him that he needs a 6-point agenda, he'll be able to support the person for the November 4th, so that at least ultimately we come together as a political. I have always mentioned that what is important for this party, NPP, to win any elections is internal cohesion, because we are, in terms of population, in terms of numbers, we are more than the NDC, because in every single elections that we have gone through from 2000 up to today, we've not gotten less than 48% of the vote, even if we lose the elections. NDC has gone to 44 before. But for 48%, that number is still there. It tells you the number of people who support NPP. So what is important to us today is internal cohesion. If we are able to come together, at least to agree to disagree, we should be able to win any elections in this country, because we need only 3% or 2 and plus 1 votes to win the elections, because this is something that has been happening from the year 2000 up to today. So I believe that the elections committee, looking at the personalities involved in the elections committee, they've seen it all. He's former MP, former Speaker of Parliament, an academic. You have Afenyo Markins, an astute lawyer. And as the secretary to the committee, you have Asobairi, who is one of the veteran politicians. She has been a national woman organizer of the party, first vice chairman, now second vice chairperson of the party, and so on. So I believe that they should be able to handle this with some tact, and so that at least at the end of the day, we should have a united front to be able to break the 8, inshallah.
And I was at the headquarters myself. It was peaceful. I mean, there was no rackles or any difficulty at all. And if you take 17 polling stations out of the lot, of course, you can say the numbers for the delegates are small, 900 in excess. So it also means that largely you can say this was a peaceful one. However, the concerns being raised by Kenny Japan and the other candidate, particularly you heard what Alan has said. The question is, should that be made to be used as a generalization, that there should be concerns on how the governing party, because it forms government, to have the ability to supersede or supervise an election for 2024, Malik?
Roland, first of all, it is regrettably unfortunate that Awal will intend drawing comparisons into a very delicate and sensitive topic of this nature.
Like what?
Mr. Alan Charamante, a candidate in your presidential primaries, says my agent was beaten. He was beaten to the extent that his eye started breathing. His eye got swollen like an angry toad. Kennedy Japan says my agent was chased into a room and I will give you a showdown no matter what it takes. Other presidential candidates, including the Northern Regional Chairman, was slapped in his face at the voting center. And we are discussing a resolution to these matters. And all you can say is that somebody was beaten in Upper West. Somebody was beaten in
he says the NDC
2 were arrested here. 3 were arrested there. 5 were this. We are speaking about resolutions in your party. Why? President Mahama says NDC has revolutionary roots. Is it a lie? What is new about that? Don't you know? Haven't you studied it in school? Hasn't he studied it in classroom? That NDC has revolutionary roots. What is surprising about that? What is new about that? President Mahama says do or die. Why? In Black Star song, Black Star, we go do. Black Star, do or die. Are these not things we have been singing every day? What is wrong with that? Then you sit there and in an attempt to equalize wrong actions in your presidential primaries, you draw very lame comparisons of this sort. In other words, those things you were citing, you said Nigo Pram Pram, 8 people were arrested.
Well, he says charity begins at home.
He said 8 people were arrested at Nigo Pram Pram.
No, I said 3 at Nigo Pram Pram. I said 8 people. I can show you where they were arrested.
Give me 10 more places they were arrested. The bottom line is that they were arrested. Tell me a single person who has been arrested in this act. You are sitting here pleading that the police should arrest them. Tell me a single person. Give me 20 places where people were arrested and during the NDC's parliamentary primaries. And tell me a single place. Why? Alan Chamante's agent mentioned the name of the Nasara coordinator who slapped him.
Well, yes, he did.
He mentioned many other names. Has a single soul been arrested in Dr. Bahomia's backyard? This is what you should concern yourself with.
Why?
And stop this unjust equalization. I realize you attempted cautioning him on those lines. Why? President Mahama has said that we know that, Mr. Akufo-Addo, it is in your DNA that all die be die. and all die must be die. Now you are president. Kindly do away with that wrong thoughts. Is that so hard or is that so big to ask from a president? Why? We know that you said if you don't win the elections, Afghanistan. Now you have won the election. Do away with thoughts of Afghanistan. Is that so huge to ask? Why? We know that you formed Delta Force. You formed the Invincible Forces. We are disbanding vigilantism. Let us have a serene environment. Let us have peaceful elections, even in your internal corridors. Is that so big to ask?
Well, he says in the NDC...
For the first time, a presidential candidate like Kennedy Japan was shouting, screaming, all because he was being maltreated in your presidential primaries. And then you sit and you see Upper West. Who was injured in Upper West? Who? In which presidential primaries was anybody injured? Why? You were showing him videos of people who were fighting that were not agents. I mean, they were out there. Look, the truth is that, Roland, in elections, we may agree to disagree. In elections, there may be some push and pull between supporters of both parties. It is understandable. It happens. We only call for peaceful dialogues. But to the extent that the agent of a candidate was beaten, did you see the eye of the man? That is somebody's father, somebody's senior brother, who was beaten. And his crime was that I have served my party so well that I feel that I must take a decision on one presidential candidate. So I have chosen Alan Charmante. And that was the only crime he committed, according to the man. He said people came to vote and they were showing their ballot papers. And he opposed it because, I mean, as part of their regulations and guidelines, they said it must be by secret ballot. So stop it.
Yeah, they did.
Then as a result of that, you pounce on him, you beat him, nobody speaks about it, everybody is happy. And while you think this is the direction we should take, you think you sit down and draw it and somebody was beaten? Please, we've gone beyond that type of politicking. If we are drawing resolutions, let's sit together. Let us teach you the way. President Mahama is not asking for anything huge. He's saying that stop the violent nature. Why? In general elections. He sat here and said it wasn't NPP that killed the people. Techima Asaf, has prosecutions been made? People were shot into spontaneously. Innocent souls were killed, even if it is a soul. One, you are here reducing the number from 8 to 6. Why? The 6 that were left were the monkeys. 6 human beings were killed. And you think that because it is 6, it is not so intriguing. We don't need to discuss it. Has the president instigated an investigation into it? Who has been prosecuted? People were killed in elections, all because you want to be president of the Republic of Ghana. Aya was West Wagon. By election. People were shot. I saw somebody's bones dripping like granite. Me, before my eyes, I was there. They shot people. The commission wrote a report after investigations. The president sat down and boo-booed whatever they had done.
Well,
not
at
a
least
single.
There was a commission.
In fact, the director, the military officer who was even in charge, Ken Olopoku, was later promoted in his jurisdiction. All other people, double, and the rest, have been reassigned and given lucrative jobs. This is a man who only thinks, look, once you engage in a violent act, you satisfy his ego and you make him feel comfortable. This is the president we have. And President Mahama is pleading on you to disarm, to disengage from all these die-be-die thoughts. And you sit here and you think it's a funny matter. Look, Roland, 2 other very important things.
Which are what?
That were raised during this primaries. A former national security coordinator of President Akufo-Addo, Hobbs Nadoye, said Baumia's camp was giving 100,000 to each delegate to vote. Aside beating them, aside beating supporters of all presidential candidates, they were bribing delegates. According to Hobbs Nadoye, 100,000. Multiply that by 961. You have about 96 million wasted by the vice president. Taxpayers' money spent lucratively out there. And this was coming from the former national security coordinator at aviation of the president, Hobbs Nadoye. Not just that, a former general secretary of their party, Nana Oheninto, said they lured people, lobbied them, spent huge sums of government revenue, all because they wanted Dr. Bawumia to emerge victorious. We in the NDC, and I repeat on this platform, are so impressed with the outcome of their primaries. I mean, so far, we are happy Dr. Baumia has come to lead. We are happy. Why? If you have a problem coming to lead them, won't you be happy? We are impressed with the results of their primaries, and we hope to see more of that. Because this is a man who will go into elections with his own record, and not even with President Mahama. You only need to play his videos back to him and ask him to respond to every video he had said earlier. The third point, and this is important to me, Roland,
that should be your last.
Were the comments of President Akufo-Addo. And with this, I want to humbly take it point by point. You are the President of the Republic who was given a mic to speak on whatever he was seeing there. And all he could do was churn out voices of a nation that is in a state of hopelessness.
How so?
The president said, a next leader will take us out of these challenges. What it tells you and I is that all the taxes we have been paying, all the revenue we have been giving to government, coupled with Akufo-Addo borrowing over 60 billion in our name and 600 billion in our name, and all the monies that have been made available to them, they haven't been able to manage inflation rates. They haven't been able to manage the dollar ratio. They haven't been able to reduce fuel prices. They haven't been able to reduce electricity prices. And today, the president is telling us that for the 1.5 years left ahead of him, we should expect nothing better. And only a new leader in 2025 will take us out of this challenge. I feel sad as a Ghanaian.
Malik,
that
in that same instance, he says that he acknowledges the difficulty. So at least, from my point of view, and I was there, he acknowledges that there are difficulties.
And acknowledges that only a new leader will take us out of the difficulties. What it tells you and I is that for the 1.5 years left of President Akufo-Addo, we are in a state of hopelessness as a state. Look, I feel sad, especially for the business community, that people continue to pay huge sums of taxes. People continue to dole out huge sums of revenue. And when the business community does this for you as a government, it is your responsibility to check inflation rates, like I've said. It is your responsibility to check fuel prices, like I've said. It is your responsibility to reduce electricity and water tariffs and manage the economy in such a way that businesses will flourish and they will continue paying monies to you. But if you have a president that, aside all these monies accrued to him, has borrowed over 600 billion in addition to it, and yet all you see on a daily basis is that they utilize the taxpayers' money in changing batteries to a tune of 54 million in 6 months at the presidency. They utilize the taxpayers' money in flying a private jet at 14,000 pounds per hour, bathing, whining and dining and clubbing in the sky. If you have a president who has mismanaged all these revenues to the extent that the economy is bankrupt and they had to resort to the Bank of Ghana to print additional 44 billion that was further recklessly spent on the economy, and later come to tell us that in the 1.5 years left ahead of you, only a new leader will take us out of this challenge, then I feel that you don't even deserve to spend one more day at the presidency. So, Roland, all we are saying is that all these 3 things enumerated at their conference, we are not asking for much. President Mahama is saying, disband those evil thoughts, disband those violent thoughts, and let us focus on a peaceful, serene environment. That is all we are asking for. So this comparison cannot wash.
Now, why you make those responses? What within the structure of the party and its disciplinary committee makes you confident that the concerns being raised by Allah and the rest will be resolved? Because we're going to the bigger election of the excess 200,000 delegates on November 4.
Yeah. Roland, I think I will have to really do some few rebuttals. He says they are happy with the outcome. I'm telling you, they are not happy. They are rather scared. I'm telling you, they are rather scared. Because Dr. Baumia consistently has shown that indeed in the north he will control. Where Mahama and him, where they come from, they have 7 seats, we have 3, and they have 4. Seven constituencies in Savannah, where Malik was regional communications director. We have 3, and they have 4. When you check the northern region, when you check the northeast northern region and the Savannah region, when Dr. Baumia was appointed in 2004, we had only 34.8% of the votes. That is presidential, not even the parliamentary, presidential. 34. When he was appointed as running mate in 2008, it moved to 38.1. Today, it is 45% of the total votes. Exactly. So NDC, if you check even Northern region, where Northern region is, we have 9 seats, they have 9 seats. It should tell you that indeed they are rather scared, because even in the Zongos, they know that Dr. Bawumia will neutralize the Zongo. So really, you could tell from day one that they have been bastardizing Dr. Bawumia, saying Dr. Bawumia is not the best way. If it is Alan, he's a calm person, he's this person, he's that person. Because they know that if Dr. Bawumia comes in, definitely we're dividing the North, we're dividing the Zongo, and that's where their vote comes from. That's one. Two is that when you tell me that the president says the next presidential candidate, the next president, should be able to really take us out of the woods, where was he talking? At the party headquarters.
Yes.
And he was talking to people after he voted. And he's telling you that the person you will choose will be able to take us out of the woods. But have we been really denying the fact that Ghana is in economic challenges? The president came last year and told us that we're in a economic crisis. And we launched PCPEC. And when you check post-COVID-19 economic recovery program, we never said that we'll recover in next year. Check even when the finance minister presented the budget this year, he revised the GDP growth to 1.5. And he says in 2025, 2026, by 2028, we'll go to 6% growth, as we did between 2017 and 2020. So it tells you that he does not have the luxury of time, because he has only 1 year, 6 months.
Yeah.
And the recovery is not an event.
Yeah, true.
It's a process. True. So he says the process that has started.
But
when we have a new leader, he should be able to take us out of the woods.
And has he said the critics of the president and the government say just a little over a year ago, the president, including the finance minister, were in a state of denial. Indeed, they had crisscrossed the country, and also
Trump denial.
Let me ask my question. And trumpeted across the media and then even in the international space that Ghana was credit-worthy, we will get out of the woods, and that we were even not going to go to the IMF.
Yes.
And it is based on that premise that people now get surprised that the president is now acknowledging that apparently Ghana is not in a positive situation. It is going to take a next leader to take us out of where we are. And it is purely based on that premise. Is that not the case?
The president never said anywhere that will not go to IMF. If you have the video, you can show. It was the finance minister who said that. He doesn't control the government. Okay. He's only one person. He's only one person at the cabinet.
The finance minister is the chief financial officer.
He presents the budget
of the country,
by
the president.
He presents his budget for and on behalf of the president, and the backstop with the president. When the finance minister said we're not going to IMF, I also sat here and said we're not going to IMF. At that time, we knew that our legs was on something.
What was that?
E-levy.
Oh, everybody was telling you it wasn't going to work.
But you see, when you start bastardizing it, because we believe that going for a loan is not all that we need. We will have to widen the tax net so that we're able to really get all the resources. We didn't get it. What we envisaged, we didn't get. So we felt that we'll have to go. And again, when you check last year, if you tell me last year we're in a state of denial, then I don't know when, which of the times within last year. Because towards December, the finance minister came and told us that even if we don't get the IMF bailout, the economy may even crash.
Okay.
And you are telling us that we're in denial. Again, in December 2022, inflation was at 54%.
Yes.
Today, inflation is at 42%.
So we should be jubilating.
No. We're turning the corner, as the finance minister has said. I'm not saying we should be jubilating, but at least there is a significant improvement. Again, in December, the dollar moved to around 15%. Today, it's around 11%. Bloomberg has done a report. They said the Ghana cedi is a world beater. They use February. between February and July, they said the cedi has not depreciated more than even 2%.
Before 11,
because there is a relative
before 11,
stability.
Where was it?
You see, when you talk about before 11, where was it? It was around 5%, even around 5 cities in July, in June 2022.
No.
Yes.
It was 8.
Okay, so granted 8. Yeah, no, granted 8.
No, it was 8. Let's get our figures right. So
yes,
that, yeah.
yes. So granted 8. But I'm saying that we moved to the extent that we got around 15, right? But now
even more than 50.
Exactly,
the official figure. Yes.
Exactly. But now there is relative stability. And Bloomberg has done a considerable work on it. They said they assess 152 currencies. And the Ghana cedi is a world beater. These are the words of Bloomberg.
Wow. Is that not the reason why that we are majoring in the minors, jubilating in a class of 30 where you place 25?
So you think someone should bastardize and we don't portray the right picture?
Because the government until today had never been in a position to acknowledge that the
until
country...
today.
Oh, until the president said the last time.
He said it. The president last year said the country is in crisis when he did the broadcast.
Only when we're on our knees. Because even in 2019...
But how do you expect?
Do you know Professor Lord Mensah of the University of Ghana Business School?
Yes.
Do you know, he rightly said it and predicted in 2019, that the way we were managing our finances, going to the market to borrow, and at the rate at which we were borrowing, we will not be in a position to service our debt, even before COVID-19 hit.
Yes. Yes.
So the government and its assigned, including the finance minister, will just not listen to what even the non-political actors will say.
You see, in 2019, even in 2020, check the inflationary figures of even February 2022.
Yeah, they were okay.
They were around 13%.
Yeah.
February 2022.
But still the signs were on the
It
way.
was
the
twin with the Russia-Ukraine, because after COVID-19, inflation was still around 13%. When Russia-Ukraine came, it came with inflation across the world.
Russia-Ukraine.
No, I'm talking about even Russia-Ukraine. Yeah. It came with inflation across the world to the extent that between that period, June, July, August, September, even the UK went to all-time high. About 40-year high. US went through the same thing and so on, because we knew that this is what brought it. All the economic fundamentals were at least doing better. Agri growth, even with the crisis, agri growth has been consistent, 6% consistently for some time now. It tells you that it's not everything that is going haywire. And we're telling you that we are turning the corner. So I am not here to jubilate, but I'm telling you the reality today that we are implementing the PC peg. And on the PC peg, we will not be recovering within just 6 months or 7 months. It's a process. And the president has a tenure, and his tenure ends next year by January 2025. His tenure ends, and he's saying that the person you choose here to lead, when he wins, will be able to take Ghana out of the woods, because he will continue what we have started. That's very important.
I think, and then just to add to what, and while we tend to compare ourselves to the US and all the difficulties they tend to, which of course difficulties that they face, the US still keeps churning out jobs. Just in July, they created over nearly 200,000 jobs. Right. Before, over 239,000. Again, before, over 300,000 jobs.
Yes, look at the population of
it's not a question.
No. Let me just give you a basis. Here. No. Before you come, because he's not giving you a time. I'm saying that this morning, I told you that this morning, I told you that we're giving 2,000 people employment.
Analysis about
this morning, I told you that we're giving 2,000 people employment.
Can you allow me, please? Can you allow me? This whole analysis about Dr. Bawumia and winning the northern parts of the country does not hold. I thought you would have been telling me what they have done for the Zongos and the northern parts to merit Dr. Bawumia leadership.
Yes,
I thought you would have been telling me that. They promised Zongos Nima. They said they would give them new Nima villas. And the president said they would change Nima into an estate. After victory, you know what they told them? They said they would teach them how to prepare wache and give them public toilets. That is the villa they promised the people of Nima. You think after saying that to them, you will go back to the Zongos and they will merit
Alhaji Bawumia or Malam Bawumia another opportunity. Again, you sit here and you talk of Zongos voting for Malam Bawumia. Which Malam Bawumia are you talking about? Is it our vice president who is jumping from church to church, looking and begging Jesus Christ to accept him? Or Malam Bawumia, who nearly finished
candidate of a country that has Christians and
so that's the point I'm making. You used Zongos, and I'm praising emphasis. Is it Dr. Bawumia who nearly finished the communion at the Catholic church he visited during the last service there? Or which Malam Bawumia? Or Malam Bawumia who took over 10,000 bags of rice and shared to people as salad rice, only for the GRA to tell us that those bags were stolen rice from the pot? Which of the Malam Bawumias are you talking about? If you want us to dissent and tell you how you are going to lose the Zongos, you claim you are winning, then we can get into that and tell me what you have done for the Zongos.
Yeah,
then we can go into that argument. But this thought of Malam Bawumia will win the Zongos, win the northern sectors, please, there is no history to that. And we know that the NDC will continue to do
my question.
He spoke about PEC.
Yes.
PEC is not a policy of the NPP. It is a policy of the IMF. The IMF has instituted measures to take us out of our current situation, because you have attributed our current situation to COVID-19.
We took that.
Absolutely, they took us there. I'm getting to that.
But we took the documentation.
So, very good, I'm getting to that.
Guided by the IMF.
Absolutely. They promised never to go to the IMF. Their finance minister was in parliament swearing every creature on earth that we will never be at the doorsteps of the IMF. And they had the solution to taking this economy out. An economy that you had recklessly mismanaged. An economy that you had, caused bankruptcy at its doorstep. You swore everything that we're not going to the IMF. Only for us to get to the IMF in a wheelchair where portions and sectors of the economy had to be amputated even before the IMF decided to look at us. And today, people are still suffering those consequences, including pensioners, are suffering from the mismanagement and recklessness of Dr. Bawumia. We shouldn't go into that. The third point is that he sits here and tries to compare figures under his own administration and says we should clap for them. You sit here and say the dollar at a point was 16 cedi, and today it is 11 cedi, so we should clap for you. You asked him a very intelligent question that he swerved. Where did you take the dollar rate? In 2016, when President Mahama was handing over the baton to you, the dollar was 4.2 cedis. If you want to have any comparison, take us back to 2016 and not comparing apples to oranges during your own administration. Where did you take inflation from? Today, inflation is at 43.3 and expected to rise.
0.1.
Even let's make it 43. Let me take the 0.1 off. At what point did you take it? You were speaking, bluffing, all around of taking us to a single-digit inflation. That was the promise you gave to the people of this country. Today, we simply do not even know when inflation will go high or when it will come down. You are here comparing petroleum prices. Where did you take a gallon of petrol from? President Mahama handed a gallon of petrol to you at 13 cedis at some point in this country. We were buying fuel for close to 100 Ghana cedis, at some point 105 Ghana cedis. And today, just because we are buying it for 70 cedis, you say we should clap for you. Please, if you want to have a proper comparison, stop comparing things within your own administration, because it still makes you reckless and still makes you a very dishonest government. Compare things with where you took it from and stop laughing. Compare things with the point it was given to you. Compare things with your predecessor. That is how the Ghanaian people will buy into whatever you're saying. Not to sit down and then just because the IMF has stepped in the modalities, things are looking a bit
But
brighter.
he's arguing this way because he says that Dr. Bawumia is
because
heading into the November election, he is the lead individual. If you look at the votes and the percentages that came out, who should be feared by his other colleagues who are his co-contestants. And he says also the NDC. But that